fucking name!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Righteous Force, Neil, 10th Man Rising, Chocolate Saiyan, Eli, Refracted Curvature, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Trouble today.
Yo, John?
Good morning.
Go on, John, I could tell you were going to launch into something there. Go ahead.
Just an odd feeling in the air. Just saying it's going to be an interesting show.
Seasonal affective disorders. That's what it is.
Let's just say trouble is very nigh.
Something wrong with my Kundalini?
Hello. Did you miss what I said?
Hey, Owen.
I said trouble is very nigh.
So we're going to be covering Bill Nye today. So just so you're prepared in the live audience, we're covering big thing. Bill Nye.
That's my boy right there.
He's your boy. He doesn't look very black, I've got to be honest. He looks very much like a pasty-faced, grey-haired white man.
Chocolate's black?
Nathan, don't get cancelled.
It's Chocolate's token white guy.
Token white? I don't think such a thing exists, Arvin. That's very
Chocolate
racist.
can identify with whoever he wants.
Okay, do you want to get into it, or should we do housekeeping?
Let's get into it.
Hey Bill, can you prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the Earth is a sphere and not flat? Because I have a lot of Facebook friends who say that it's flat, and I just can't convince them. Thank you.
Sorry, I've got a lot of Facebook friends that say it's flat. What? So you've not looked into it, you've just got mates that say it, and you want to convince them otherwise without looking into it, so you're asking Bill Nye. That's this guy's shtick. That's the basis of this video.
But that's good.
I know, it just shows the idiocy of the guy who's asking the question, if you ask me, but, you know, what do I know? Shout out to... Why can't I read that? Does it say anything? Oh, somebody's gifted it. Michael Kahn gifted somebody a membership. So if you want a free membership, I don't really know how it works, but it's there and somebody can have it. Thank you very much, Michael. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael, for the membership.
No, what I'm saying, Nathan, is it showed you that it's all over Facebook. It's everywhere, Flat Earth.
Oh, I know. I totally appreciate that. Sorry, I'm not so slick. I've just...
Is the Earth flat or round?
Flat. Measurably. Obviously. Observably. Navigatably. Flat.
It's round, okay?
Okay? No, definitely not. Can't get elevation angle measurements from a curved surface.
Now, let's see. How do we go
Okay.
about proving that?
All right, what did that just say? Did that just say the science guy? Like, what experimentation has Bill Nye done? Anybody? Why is he calling himself the science guy? What experiments has Bill Nye done?
Excuse me. He wears a white lab coat and a bow tie, so that's science nowadays.
That's not science. What experiments has he done?
Well, he's a pseudoscientist, so that means he hasn't done any experiments.
Why is he calling himself a science guy?
Because he preaches the rhetoric that they confuse with science.
Oh, so it's Bill Nye, the pseudo-science heliocentrist guy.
Go to the seashore. Go to a seashore.
Okay. Yeah, we've got plenty of those in England. Yeah, yeah.
And figure out why you can't, if you live on the East Coast, figure out why you can't see Spain.
Because it's too fucking small, you stupid old retard.
From the East Coast of North America.
Because it's too fucking small. Have you got no concept of perspective? This cow is small. That cow points to a cow the same visible size as the toy cow, but in the distance, that cow's far away. Now, it might appear to be the same size as the toy cow that you're holding, but it's actually just far away. Now, how far do you think you've got to be for Spain to disappear? Yeah, not very. That's the answer. So you think that what, if it was flat, you'd see Spain? So you've got no conception whatsoever of perspective then, you stupid old man?
It looks like you might have a...
Looks like? Now, looking like would be accounting for angular sizes of things. Getting smaller with distance is called perspective. It's a very real fact of life. Something you've just completely excluded from your claim that you prove a ball Earth by showing that something can be too small to see when it's far away. Absurd. Yeah, this was good fun. You're right. Good choice, Ted. Shout out to Jamal's24. Smashing the super chat. Thank you very much. It says 4 more hours. We've only just started.
Nathan, I like that you said it's too small and not too far at the beginning. I like that.
Well, it is. What you want? Stuff gets small with distance.
Explain on that more. What do you mean it's too small?
But he asked me to ask myself why something wasn't there. Because it's really far away. What? No, the reason he's postulating it in that manner is because in Earth curve mathematics, there is only one reason why you can't see Spain. And that's because it's gone behind Earth curve. There is no accounting for perspective in Earth curve mathematics. None. There isn't one. What they've done is hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve. So when he describes the effect of something getting too small into the distance, he's going to attribute that to an Earth curve geometric physical limitation to your view at the horizon, called Earth curve. It isn't, but that's what he's going to do.
A St. Louis hat on, I'm not sure. Just go to the middle of the Mississippi River and look south. Why can't you see the Louisiana? Why can't you see New Orleans?
I don't know about those distances geographically speaking. I'm not American, but I'm just going to say the same thing. I'm going to assume it's just going to be too small to see, too far away. Things get smaller into the distance until they disappear.
What's the problem there?
There isn't a problem. Your problem is your lack of comprehension when it comes to perspective, you stupid old idiot.
Well, then climb a tower or go to the top of a hill or a mountain.
What, climb up, get higher? If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles and every distance to the geometric horizon, the limitation that I'm climbing up to see, i.e. increasing my altitude, could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And we've shown that it's beyond that. The geometric horizon is no more. We have debunked it. Climbing up a tree and claiming that the Earth curve edge horizon is going to be at 1.2 times the square root of that observer height in feet is debunked. Black Swan. Go on.
Can we not forget that this is Bill Nye? This is the guy who actually had a toy boat on Toy Globe showing people how the boat disappears bottom up due to going over the curve of the Earth. It had nothing to do with perspective, nothing to do with optics. It's just the curve of the Earth getting in the way and blocking boats in the distance. That's this guy, Bill Nye.
Well, he's getting ready to talk about a differential, so he's getting ready to prove a flat Earth, the differential between eye level and sea level.
You called it so you can cover it.
And you'll see a little farther, but you will not see to the other side of the Earth, places we know to exist. For example,
Right, we'll see a little further, but we won't see to the other side of the world. Right, do you think that's how good your eyeballs are? Yeah, even with no Earth curve obstruction, we're up at a very, very, very high altitude where you don't assume that you've got an Earth curve edge obstruction. There's still things disappearing into the distance. You can't resolve trees on the ground from 30,000 feet. You can't do that. They're too small. Is this guy nuts?
been to London. I can tell you, other people have. I've been to Vancouver, British Columbia, and you cannot see Vancouver, British Columbia from Boise, Idaho, let alone from New York City or Toronto.
Well, they're too far away. They get smaller and smaller and smaller into the distance. Yeah? Until they disappear completely. Well, you think you should be able to see that. You've got no comprehension of perspective. You're a moron.
Toronto or what have you. Just start there. Then
I did, and then called you a stupid old twat for your stupid assertion that things should remain visible at all distances. Absolutely and utterly absurd. You're a stupid old man. You're thick. Okay, Bill Nye, you stupid retard. Things get smaller as they get further away, stupid old man.
If you'd like, look at pictures from space.
What? A second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum? No, there is no such place to look at images from Earth, because there is no second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum. If the sky was a vacuum, space, then the gas would be filling that space. Gas at high pressure fills volume. It's the law of nature. So there is no outer space to look at Earth from. Go on.
I was kind of waiting for him to say something about space, because this happens to be the same guy who told us all about the Earth being a closed system. How does that work when we've got a vacuum of space? Not sure how that works out.
Where you see the Earth as a sphere.
No, you don't. When have you seen the Earth as a sphere? You don't get to go to a fake place called space to see the Earth as a sphere. Nobody watching this has seen the Earth as a sphere. Nobody, bar none. There is no exception. 0 people watching this stream, and I'm going to go a bit further, any stream, have ever seen the Earth from space, that's Narnia, a place that doesn't exist, as a sphere. You certainly can't do it as his audience member. The fuck are you doing? You appealing to your audience to go up and get rockets to see how flat it is from altitude? That's what you're appealing to? Because they can't go to space, as you've just inferred. There's no such place. Second law of thermodynamics violation. All of the gas we're breathing that's at high pressure would fill it.
Those pictures are not faked, and I'll tell you.
Oh, are they not? I've just debunked them. They are absolutely unequivocally fake. They've come from Narnia. You can't take pictures from a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum. If you could leave Earth's atmosphere, sphere-shaped air in violation of natural law also, to go beyond the air at pressure not filling the vacuum, to look back at the gas pressure not filling the vacuum to take a picture of it as a sphere, is utterly absurd and absolutely fake. You can't traverse the air pressure to get beyond it to take a picture of Earth and its air pressure not filling the space. It's not a possibility. Therefore, all of the pictures are fake, without exception.
Tell you, just if nothing else, here's why you can tell they're not faked.
What you can tell, I'm going to tell you without any doubt whatsoever that you cannot take pictures from an area that would leave us all dead. If I can leave the area that's pressurized gas, then so can the gas. We'd all be dead if these pictures were real.
Just to create the paperwork.
Sorry, you're going to appeal to the fucking paperwork? No, I'm appealing to a law of nature, Bill Nye, you stupid old twat. I'm appealing to the second law of thermodynamics, not the administrative process. Like that's got any bearing on the reality of the place the pictures came from. It hasn't. You're going to appeal to the documentation for the pictures when I can debunk the place they came from. How unbelievably pathetic.
That NASA has created for NASA.
Created, yeah, that's exactly what they've done. They've faked every one of them, created them, because they can't take them as pictures, because the place they've come from isn't real.
It's one case. Just the paperwork.
You said twice, just the paperwork. What about it? This unicorn I'm going to invent in a fantasy land called Narnia definitely exists. Here's the paperwork.
Send anything out in space, to send people.
You can't send things to a place that isn't real. Fact. If we could travel to an area of quote-unquote space, then that would be a space the gas could also go.
In orbit, or to send them.
Orbit's a begging the question fallacy. Why would I assume that things fall around a sphere Earth we can't see from a fake place? When it needs an R value, we've debunked also with the Black Swan that also debunked your Earth curve edge horizon and notion that things don't get smaller in the distance. Black Swan, no R, we've debunked it. So you're not going to assume orbits.
To the moon. That amount of paperwork.
Go on.
I was going to say, can we call that appeal to paperwork?
It's a non sequitur.
He's doing the same thing that Neil deGrasse says. Oh, because we could do the calculations as to how much fuel we need to go to the moon, therefore we went to the moon. He's doing the same thing. He's saying NASA's created so much paperwork that we went into space that we have to have gone to space. This is unbelievable.
Work would make faking it prohibitively expensive. No one
Sorry, prohibitively expensive. 52 million a day NASA get. Prohibitively expensive. It's just a bit of CGI. Film with 2 cameras at different angles. So you can show it seeming live without the ceiling. And then have the ceiling in post. It's very easy. Go to Dilly Gill, DILLYGILL, YouTube channel, and see him expose the 2 camera angles, excluding the roof of the ISS, so they can all be dangled on high wire. It's not preclusively expensive to fake people on high wire. They do it all day long. Definitely not prohibitively expensive when they're getting 52 million a day.
One could afford to generate that much.
NASA can afford to do it. They have to, because they can't take pictures from a fake place. So it has to be fake. Your appeal to it's too expensive to be fake. All right, this unicorn's definitely real. Far too expensive. Look, I've got an entire filing cabinet.
Nathan, isn't there Elon Musk quote is eerily similar to this?
What, you know it's real because it looks so fake?
That much documentation.
Your documentation's not worth jack. Stupid old man who doesn't understand things get smaller. The documentation doesn't prove there's a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum above our heads for us to travel to. But the gas, what, burns its bra at the Kármán line and stops? In violation of gas law? No, definitely not. Gas that expands in all directions at a high velocity does so until it hits something. And if there's nothing for it to hit, there's just an area we're taking pictures from, then all of the gas would go there. We'd all be dead. I don't want to hear any fundies saying we've got gravity. That's a bending of a 4th dimensional space-time. Definitely not a container. Definitely not a force.
Then the other thing, if you want to get into this, if you're
Sorry, the other thing, you haven't had a first thing. The paperwork doesn't prove anything.
really serious, if your friends are really serious.
No. His friends being serious has nothing to do with your crap argument that you couldn't possibly have faked it because you've got the paperwork.
Have them get on a boat or
have them have a look at the second law of thermodynamics. Gas expansion, Avogadro's law. Have a look at that and know that the place these pictures from is fake.
ship and go out at sea, and you'll notice you can't see infinitely far. Furthermore,
what, because of perspective? Yeah, that's something I covered and you excluded from your Earth curve assertions.
if you get into it enough, pick up a book about navigation or go online.
Ooh, a book about navigation. What about celestial navigation? You're going to need a flat plane for that.
And learn about navigation. A very, very important thing you have to take into account when you try to navigate the ocean from a ship.
Is a flat baseline to measure an elevation angle to a star that you're going to find your position with. To triangulate with several of them potentially. You're going to need a flat plane for that, Bill. Were you unaware that an elevation angle measurement must be taken on the flat plane that we dwell atop? Were you unaware of that when you started babbling on about navigation? You can't get an elevation angle measurement from a curved surface, Bill. It proves Earth is flat. How are you going to get an angle to the star if Earth is curving? How are you going to draw a circle of equal elevation? I'll say that one more time. Equal elevation if Earth's falling away from you 8 inches per mile squared. That's what you do when you triangulate your position by way of angle measurements from a flat baseline. Angles aren't curved surfaces meeting straight lines. It's 2 straight lines. You can only navigate Earth if it's flat by way of the means and methodologies that celestial navigation invoke.
Ship or a boat is how
you know
high
what?
you are on.
Speaking of equal elevation, it's funny that we have the housekeeping question: is level? Is there any evidence that level isn't horizontal? Because they'll try to put that circle of equal elevation on a globe.
Yeah, but then it's not a circle of equal elevation if it's a circle with 8 inches per mile squared dropping, because then it's not a circle at all. Yeah, dropping domes on the top of curved surfaces doesn't comport with the angle measurement that you're taking to triangulate your position and draw a 2-dimensional circle on a 2-dimensional map. That's why they are flat, so that you can draw your circle of equal elevation from the base of the star that you're measuring and angle from a flat baseline to, so that you can draw out its position on the map with a flat circle. And that circle, I'll say it a third time, is a circle of equal elevation, not falling away 8 inches per mile squared. It wouldn't work. So to navigate, Bill, Earth must be flat. It can't not be. That's how it works. Let's see how Bill Nye gets on explaining how navigation proves a sphere.
Off the sea surface.
Sea surface? What, sea level? The flat baseline, the sea level that must be flat for an angle. The surface, yeah, that would be flat. You're using the horizon to gain a flat baseline that extends beyond the horizon, the point where things get too small to see, and beyond to the base below the star in the distance beyond the horizon. That's a flat baseline running from you to that GP. Flat. And every part of every area within that circle that you draw out on your flat map, area of equal elevation. Flat.
The higher you are off the sea surface, the farther...
Higher you are off the sea surface? No, that's corrected for with... What's the term? What's the dip angle correction? That's what you do if you're higher up. If you're on a particularly rough sea, you'd know how high you were off the deck when you measured the boat before you left.
Further you can see, the farther away the horizon is.
Sorry, the further away the horizon is? What's that got to do with anything spherical?
Oh my. Now, this discovery that the world is...
Sorry, you haven't proved anything. You've just told us how far the horizon's going to be for navigation. How did that prove Earth's a sphere? Do we have to infer from that the horizon's Earth curve without you actually saying it? Because it isn't. Telling us what the horizon doesn't prove a sphere anymore, Dumbo. Yeah, we debunked it 1st Jan 2020. I appreciate this video was made before that. But just to point out for the audience's benefit, no, the horizon isn't automatically assumed to be Earth curve when we've debunked it as Earth curve. So you're just telling us how the horizon works. It doesn't prove a sphere.
Was made... in 15, it was published in 1540. Now, I'm concerned, it was Copernicus. I'm concerned it might have been 1530, but it was about...
Sorry, who gives a shit? What does this prove? What are you going to claim? Because so far you've claimed that the horizon's at a certain distance when you're at sea. You haven't proved a sphere.
Out then. It was in the 16th century.
Who cares? Crap, get to the point.
The Earth was shown to be a ball.
Was it? Shown to be a ball? What, did they go to space like you told us we'd have to do earlier? Because that's a fake place. How did they do it in the 1600s?
But it was known to be a ball.
Sorry, how did they show it? That's a baseless assertion fallacy. So Bill Nye says back in the 1600s, they showed it to be a sphere. Back in the 1600s, they showed the unicorns. Look at all my documentation.
By a lot of other people before Copernicus.
Why is he sat in such a defensive pose with his arms folded? This bullshit need to feel defensive about for some reason. I don't get it.
Sounds like he doesn't even know what he's talking about, to be honest.
He's bullshitting.
Sounds like he's making it up on the fly.
Yeah. They showed it to be a sphere in maybe the 1300s, 1400s, maybe it's the 1600s. But they showed it. Moving on. There was other people who show us. Don't just tell us that they showed us. Show us how they did it so we can debunk it.
The Western world, what we now call the Western world, Western Hemisphere.
Sorry, a begging the question fallacy. So why would I assume that we are on a sphere because you say hemisphere? No, I don't assume that the Earth's a sphere. We've just talked about navigation. Beyond the horizon is flat for miles and miles to the GP of the star you're measuring. Certainly not inferring that it's spherical. Certainly not incurring some hemispherical northern surface. Definitely not. I've just detailed how celestial navigation utilizes a flat baseline, sea level, to get an angle that can only be acquired if Earth is flat. Now you're going to bark on about something different that's non-related? Nah, Bill, this is utterly useless. Your baseless assertion has been debunked. Your claim of navigation proving a sphere by saying someone showed it to be a sphere, when I've just detailed how beyond the horizon's flat, to the GP of the star you're measuring with an angle that can only be taken if Earth's flat. So definitely not, my friend.
The ancient Greeks noticed that from time to time, the Earth casts a shadow on the moon.
Why would you assume it's a shadow? You mean what, like when I saw it, it went red? I've never seen things turn red because they're a shadow. That's never occurred in my entire existence. Why are you making this assumption that the moon has a shadow on it? How do you know it's a shadow? Have you been to the moon? Is it that you're assuming Earth's a sphere and is occulting the sun in a heliocentric model, therefore it's a sphere? That's a whole string of assumptions you need to make to declare that it's a sphere by assumption. I don't assume it's a shadow. Far from it.
This is a lunar eclipse.
Yeah, I don't assume it's a shadow. I know what a lunar eclipse is. I've seen one with my own eyes. It went red. That's not a shadow. It wasn't occulted by anything.
Where the moon gets in the shadow of the Earth. The sun...
Does it? By assumption of a heliocentric orbital mechanic? We debunked your orbit that you assumed earlier in this crap proofsy that you're laying out for an audience that's too thick to be able to look into flat Earth for themselves, and is asking this stupid old idiot who doesn't understand perspective how to debunk flat Earth. Do you think the guy who sent you this little message is going to go back to next man and say, in the 1300s, maybe 1400s, maybe 1600s, they showed it was a sphere? You think that will be an effective defence against me? Do you? Oh, I assure you not, Bill Nye. That won't help the guy if he comes across me. Because I will hand him, like I'm handing you, your own asshole. You haven't proven anything. You've just made a load of baseless assertions and begging the question fallacies.
Sunlight is being blocked by the Earth. The moon's on...
No, it's not being blocked by the Earth. It's blocked in an assumed heliocentric orbital motion, which requires R to assume we've debunked it. It also requires you assume a hemispherical surface, which we've also debunked with the navigation you mentioned. You're measuring to the GP of the star flat for thousands upon thousands of square miles. No inference of hemispherical surfaces whatsoever based on navigation, as you pointed it out.
On the far side of the Earth.
No, definitely not. Just assuming orbital mechanics. We've debunked them. You need R for them.
And that shadow is always...
Not a shadow. We don't assume it's a shadow when it turns red.
Curved.
Curved shadow? No, I just saw a red moon.
Only shape.
Definitely not occulted by anything. Further to that, there's the Selenian eclipse that shows that both the sun and the moon can be above the horizon during an eclipse. So definitely not occulting anything. You idiots call it an impossible eclipse. Only impossible in this assumption of a heliocentric orbital mechanic. Not impossible because it's seen by people's eyes. Just impossible in your heliocentric model.
That always produces a curve, no matter what the orientation. That is to say...
The shadow that I assume is caused by a curved Earth that I assume when I'm measuring and navigating it flat by way of areas of equal altitude. Definitely not.
Whether you're standing in Greece...
What, looking at America going, I wonder why I can't see it?
At night, or if you're standing then 12 hours later in Buenos Aires at night. The curve, the shadow is always curved. So
it's not a shadow. Why are you assuming it's shadow? Saying it's curved means nothing. I don't know what the moon is. I don't know what its claim to be occultation when there's an eclipse is. I know it turned red. How do you account for that? Go on.
He's not even right about that. He's never seen a half moon where the line on this supposed shadow is absolutely flat, straight. Like, what is he talking about? The shadow's always curved, if that's a shadow at all.
A useless proofsy. Absolutely useless. If I assume orbital mechanics, because I've assumed R, and I've assumed Kepler's third law, and I've assumed that Venus has the same size as R, and I've got all the scaling values, then I can assume that Earth, when assumed to be falling around the sun, with the moon falling around Earth, and a spherical surface that we're not navigating, I can assume that Earth gets in the way of the sun and causes a shadow, in quotes, on the moon. That's what he's just done. Crap. Easily taken apart by us.
So the ancient Greeks knew that the Earth was a ball.
What, because they saw what you call a curved shadow on the moon, therefore Earth's a ball? That's your proof.
They didn't know to the degree of the size of it, to the degree of
They didn't know anything. The size of it was measured flat when you talked about navigation earlier. Elevation angle measurements proved it.
Precision we know now. And you guys, come on.
So given that you're measuring elevation angle measurements off a flat baseline and drawing out areas of equal elevation for thousands of square miles in all directions when you triangulate your position, Why would it be that the ancient Greeks would assume that there's an occultation occurring with a curved surface causing a curved shadow when Earth's obviously observably, measurably and navigatably flat? There's no curved surface. So why would you in any way infer that somehow the curved surface you're seeing on the moon is a result of the flat surface you're measuring and navigating? That makes no sense.
Everybody watches newscasts. You all use mobile phones.
I don't watch newscasts.
You all see airplanes fly around. You all go to see Ed Sheeran in concert.
What the hell does any of this have to do with a globe Earth?
One day in London,
Well, if it
another
wasn't,
day.
I was going to say, if it wasn't a globe, then you wouldn't have cell phones. He's getting ready to make that connection, I believe.
Oh, and we wouldn't have Ed Sheeran.
In Melbourne,
Basically.
Australia.
Again?
Basically, yeah, that's where he's heading with it, I believe.
Okay. Is he aware that the computer technologies come from the quantum realm, which debunks Einstein? I wonder if he's aware of that.
Yeah, this all depends on our fundamental understanding of the
idea or understanding. You seem to stumble over those two words there. Is it an understanding or an idea? Just people standing under your idea, it would seem, because your idea has just been debunked.
size of the Earth and its shape with
size? What? Radius 3959 miles? No, every distance to horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, like when you suggested going up a tree or up a hill, getting higher. Yeah, that's the maths for Earth curve. 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet is where it would put the geometric limitation to your view. That's the Earth curve that boats fall over, you bunch of idiots. With boats falling over an Earth curve edge. Yeah? How stupid's that? Yeah, that's at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, Bill Nye. And we've debunked it.
Extraordinary precision. And if you want to get into it, the Earth isn't quite a sphere. It's a little...
Not a sphere at all. You navigated it flat when you drew out elevation angle measurements to triangulate your position with the stars. Using sea level. That's your baseline. Flat. Has to be. You can't get an angle if it isn't.
Its spin is a little...
Spin? So why are we assuming spin now? Well, you're going to have an axis for spin, and we've debunked R. So definitely not.
It made it slightly oblate.
Total bollocks. This is just fantasy fairy tales now. Into the fantasy fairy tale land of what my sphere, I assume, is like. No, you've measured it flat. And then said that you'll see a curve on the moon, even though the areas of equal elevation, triangulating your position at sea, would all need to be flat for you to find out where the hell you are with triangulation, with angles from a flat baseline. So no, definitely don't take any of this inference of sphericity for you to move on to tell me how spherical or non-spherical your oblate spheroid is. It isn't. You wouldn't be navigating a flat plane if it was. You'd be navigating a spherical surface, which you're not.
The saying goes. This is all susceptible to analysis, but spend some...
Susceptible to analysis by me. I've just analysed it. Your navigation needed a flat plane, your Earth with a curve on the moon wasn't a shadow, and the flat surface that you navigated wouldn't give you a curve, even if it was a curve on the moon. Who cares? None of it proved anything spherical after analysis. By us.
Some time it's learning about navigation. Tell your friends to spend some time learning about navigation.
Thanks, Bill. I and Bill Nye both endorse the idea that you measure angles from a flat plane, it seems, because he hasn't qualified it. And we know what navigation actually entails, don't we, Bill? We're telling our audience what that actually involves. It involves using an angle measuring device called a sextant that measures two straight lines, one of which will be lined up with the horizon to establish a flat baseline. Not establish that it's falling away at 8 inches per mile squared, because then you wouldn't get an angle to triangulate your smegging position with in celestial navigation. So why are you telling these globe-believing muppets to go away and look at navigation when we can show that it proves Earth's flat? Is it because you haven't even looked at it yourself, you stupid old idiot who doesn't understand perspective? Maybe you should look at navigation. It's done using angles. Yeah, look into navigation, you stupid old prick. Navigation proves Earth is measured flat. And everything about the process has to be done on a flat map with circles that represent equal elevations on the plane. That's what navigation does.
Navigation's changed the world, by the way.
It can't be done.
Changed it to flat. Go on.
I was just saying it can't be done if Earth is a curved surface. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'd like clarity from Bill Nye, the dickhead guy, about his navigation he thinks proves a sphere. I want you to show us, Bill, how you use flat Earth angles and circles of equal elevation on a curved surface that's falling away from you at 8 inches per mile squared. I'll tell you, it can't be done. How'd you get the angle in the first place if Earth's curving? Answer, you don't. The whole process starts with measuring a flat plane. So what the hell are you babbling about? Show us, like Toon can't, acquisition of elevation angles from a curved surface. Can't be done. Navigation requires a flat Earth.
What are you wearing? You're wearing stuff that came from another part of the world on a ship.
On a ship that used celestial navigation to navigate the flat plane with areas of equal altitude. That's not a curved surface, Bill.
Ship. It didn't get here by magic. It got here through
travelling on the flat surface on a boat, using celestial navigation if they got lost, to triangulate their position using a flat plane.
Science!
Not science at all! What a wanker. So at the end of his bullshit that proved nothing and didn't even qualify most of his claims, he's just going to bark science at the audience? What a charlatan. What a fraud. You're a fraud. Do you hear me, Bill Nye? You're a scammer, a fraud, a charlatan, a con man. Nothing in what you just said was science. There was zero scientific validity to anything you just said. It didn't even have logic behind it, let alone science. What an absolute bloody outrage. Yeah, that was really good fun. Thanks, 10th. Good choice. "37 minutes into the show, let's do housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?"
If it exists in the math, it exists below surface level.
Bill Nye's toy boat on his toy globe showing how the boat disappears bottom up.
Yeah, as per the depiction on screen, the man in the Eiffel Tower don't seem to have got small. So they can show a crude example of the hijacking of perspective and calling it an Earth curve obstruction. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? 95 watching, please share the show.
You know, I have a question about that. How can you have a non-inertial turning reference frame that doesn't experience acceleration?
You can't in physical reality.
You can just imagine that it actually experiences acceleration when it doesn't.
Well, in the definition of non-inertial turning reference frame, it says that it can't be a non-inertial turning reference frame if it is measured a zero acceleration. So why are they assuming it?
They can't assume it. They have to assume it because there's no effects of Coriolis to observe on Earth, beyond their assertion when they assume Earth is a turning ball that the stars are the effect of Coriolis at 15 degrees an hour drift, i.e. the stars aren't really moving, Earth's turning beneath. That's their actual claim of Coriolis. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty of that making Earth a non-inertial, accelerating always, turning reference frame, they have to come up with excuses for why we don't feel any effect and don't see any effect. Any evidence?
Well, it wouldn't be about...
Sorry, go ahead.
It wouldn't be about seeing at that point. It'd be about being able to measure it, you know?
Absolutely.
They have a device specifically designed to, you know, or claimed to measure acceleration, but it doesn't.
Yeah, we'd damn well notice if we were accelerating constantly on a non-inertial turning reference frame with a rim velocity of 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. You're going to notice. And that's not to mention the multiple other axes that we're supposed to be rotating through. Always. Not just around the sun. Around a giant black hole they call the Great Attractor. The entire universe spinning around it in an orbital motion. Everything's moving in multiple directions always, and yet we don't feel a thing. Totally absurd.
No,
Earth's not moving.
It's because the heliocentric model is like a brand new car, man. You know how, some cars just don't feel it when you start it up? It's nice and smooth. That's the heliocentric model, baby.
I just want to check before we move on to the next question if Adam hasn't joined because he wants to talk about the measuring of the accelerative effect of a non-inertial turning Earth. Is that why you joined, or did you just coincidentally join at that moment, Adam?
Yeah, just fantastic timing, no intent, Nathan.
No, okay, perfect. Any scientific evidence of gravity? Just to qualify what I just said, Adam's calculated what we would be able to measure if Earth was turning. Now, don't get me wrong; it's not going to be throwing you off like a waltzer or something, but it would be measurable. I don't want you to go into it now, Adam, but I just wanted to clarify for the audience why I asked you. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Okay. I did do it, and I did a comparison, because you can talk newtons, but if we were on the same size carousel, roundabout, then the rate of movement would be equivalent to about 0.4, sort of 30 to 40 centimeters per second, instead of the 2.5 meters per second that the carousel's spinning on the inside. That would give you an equivalent centrifugal force, which would be the claimed equivalent of what you feel at the equator.
Which would be measurable. You'd be able to demonstrate it. That's the point.
Yeah, the mitigation is that it's only 0.33% of the total force that you're experiencing. But it's 0.33%. It is there. It is measurable. It's claimed, you know what I mean? So it's kind of irrelevant as how big or small it is. It's there.
Exactly. It's qualitative versus quantitative. If there's a quality of Earth spinning, it doesn't matter how much the quantity we measure is. It would be there to measure. It doesn't matter about them saying, oh, it's only a tiny amount. Okay, show me the tiny amount then. Oh, well, there isn't any to show.
Adam, can a accelerometer measure 0.33%?
We should be able to, shouldn't it? They're a lot more accurate than that.
In other words, yes.
Right. Right. So when you set an accelerometer down on the equator, it should, be measuring something.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Science!
Why are they always yelling stuff? One guy yells science, the other guy yells the holy gradient. What's wrong with these people, man?
They have to.
Bill Nye has just figured out the very basic broad strokes of the magic trick. You can spin out any old useless understanding of your own bullshit heliocentric model, and at the end just say science, or just wear a white coat, or just call yourself the science guy. Like Bob, the science guy, or Bill Nye, the science guy, or Professor Dave. And then in the mind's eye of the person watching, this is an authority that you need to understand is correct regardless of what they say. So Bill Nye can bullshit his way around any old crap, throw out any old nonsense that actually proves a flat Earth. Oh, navigation proves a sphere. Did he explain it? No, he had flat earthers telling him how Earth is actually navigated flat. But has he looked into it? No. But so long as he says science at the end, the audience goes, oh, yeah. So that means it's right. When he talks about some vague date he can't remember, and the Greek showing it being spherical, after detailing navigation without any description of how it proved the sphericity, he didn't do that. I did. Just use the magic trick. That's all he's doing. Say science when you talk shit. Bob Nodell learned that trick about 5 years ago. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
That's laughable. I'm sorry.
Any evidence that level is not horizontal?
Being that the globe is plane, because that would be on them to prove that.
You would have to be insane to even try.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Quote Bill Nye, the Earth is a closed system. Cannot leave the Earth. What's a closed system again?
A system that would have walls of a container for the gas pressure to create pressure with. See, we don't know what
they go to the moon.
we don't know what the black bit on
moon then?
screen is, right? Obviously, this has been composited together by me in a very poor way. However, we don't know what the black area is. Now, we're not saying the black is the container, because we don't know. But we know it's not a 10 to the minus 17 Torr vacuum. Because all of this blue stuff, that'd be high pressure gas. Yeah? And this would be a low pressure vacuum, according to them. Well, if the sky was a vacuum, then this sky, you notice how he needs a spacesuit. Why? Oh, well, because he needs the high pressure gas to stay inside the suit. It doesn't want to be dissipating out into the sky vacuum. But he's looking down at high pressure gas, just staying there. It's just chilling out. It's just burning its bra at the Kármán line. Going, you know what? Fuck natural law. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to go back down again. I'm not just going to obey all of the known understanding of gas behaviour and move in a high velocity as I was just doing until I got to the Kármán line. I'm not going to carry on in the same direction because there's nothing stopping me from doing it. No, I'm just going to chill out here. Kármán line. Burn my bra in defiance of natural law. Maybe go down, go boom, boom like solid bonded bouncy balls. With gravity.
Not only that, I'm going to maintain myself around this supposed sphere as it's moving around a gas ball in a vacuum at 66,600 miles per hour while it's spinning at 1,000 miles at the equator. So yeah, don't mind me, just gas doing its own thing.
If the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. It's called entropy. Gas fills space. It fills whatever volume it's got to fill. It makes no difference if you've got an assertion of gravity or not. If you believe there's a downward bias pulling you to the ground because you're a solid in air, no worries. The air around you is still moving at a high velocity in all directions. And the only thing that's going to stop it doing that is it colliding with either another gas particle or the walls of a container. Now, if there are no walls of a container, i.e. the sky is a bloody vacuum, that would be a massive area of volume for gas to fill, then that's what it would do. Fill it. In line with entropic law. Laws of nature that describe how gas behaves. Gas expands to fill space. It's the V
Don't we have a
in PV equals nRT. That's what the V is, volume.
sorry? Don't we have a video that shows that guy in the classroom doing that with two like containers, and he puts bromine into the other one?
Yeah.
Something like that?
It shows bromine gas in one side of a chamber, and in the other side he's got a vacuum. He opens the tap between the two, and the bromine fills the space. Because it's bouncing around and hitting the valve, and then going back into the original side of the containment that's sealed. So the bromine just bounces around, and when it gets to the hole, that's the valve, because it's closed, it hits the closed valve and bounces back into the containment. The moment you open the valve, there's nothing to stop it going into the other side of the chamber, filling the vacuum. And that's what gas does. So if the sky was a vacuum, the gas would fill it. We'd all be dead. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline, in line with Bill Nye's assertion that navigation in some way proves a sphere? It doesn't. Elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline. Anybody at all?
An angle is not a point where a straight line meets a curved line. That is not what an angle is.
Especially not when the baseline that you're measuring the angle with will form the radius of a circle around the base of the star at its GP. That's an area of equal elevation. That circle is represented the same as the baseline, the angle that you measured, flat.
Right, but the definition of an angle is not a curved line meeting a straight line. Like, you can't even get there from, that point.
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Hell no.
That's it.
If
That
you can get
concludes the
past the-
housekeeping. Good stuff.
If you could get past the flat plane that we use to measure it, I could show you how it's a sphere.
Now we just can't get
sure
past
you
that flat
can.
plane. That's the problem. That's what Zanuck told us when he was trying to appeal to using flat Earth measured elevation angles in celestial navigation. His appeal to us when we wouldn't let him move forward because he was having to measure a flat Earth to get the angles was telling us, you guys just need to get over that flat plane. That's what he told us. Yeah, that's it. That concludes the housekeeping. 10 minutes to the live show to go. We were going to cover a bit of Neil deGrasse Tyson today, but it's not exactly my forte, the video that 10th Man picked. So we were going to cover a video about the Big Bang, how the universe was created, or the origin of the universe with Neil deGrasse Tyson. But to be perfectly honest, beyond the first law of thermodynamics violation that the Big Bang is, after only listening to about a minute of the video, I thought there's nothing else I can offer in regards to this, and it's a fairly substantial video. Hence, we covered Bill Nye today. That, and we've covered Neil deGrasse Tyson about 4 times in 2 weeks. I don't know who it'll be tomorrow, but hopefully someone else is a bit like that one. That was good. I enjoyed doing Bill Nye. Because it was easy. He didn't make any substantive claims, did he?
Right. That's what I was about to say. He kept it really ambiguous, which is good for them. I think as far as staying away from actually proving anything or attempting to prove anything, he did a good job for the globe because he didn't talk about measurements or anything substantial.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like saying, well, I mean, they knew in the 1800s that it was a flat plane. And you've only got to go to the base of a volcano. And they saw these volcanoes in 1600, I think it was, or maybe it was 1300. Something like that. 1400, I think it was, something around there. And they saw the base of the volcano, and they saw that the Earth was flat. So, yeah, moving on to my next proof.
That's interesting, being that people were being arrested in the 1900s for running around teaching people that we live on the globe. So I don't know if I buy all that time frame bullshit they put this nonsense in.
I don't know
if I buy it.
I don't know if I buy the idea that they were locking up people for claiming it was a sphere. I don't know if I buy that.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I buy any of it because they're obviously different stories, right? So I don't know.
Well, as for Bill Nye, his level of evidence was along the lines of, you know, that toaster in your kitchen, when you put that bread in there and it comes out and it's flat, that's proof the Earth is flat. Like, that would, if I wanted to give an argument for flat Earth on the level of evidence that he just gave, I could do that.
You could, but what you'd need to do to make it that much more convincing is when you were done, cross your arms, sigh indignantly, and say science. That's all it takes.
It was just assumed I would do that.
Oh, right, yeah, fair enough. I assume that at the end of that you would just say science and then end the video on that. Literally abuse the magic trick to the point where it's so obvious to people like us. Like, what science? Why are you barking science down the camera at the end of a load of bullshit that you didn't substantiate in any way?
Wait, did he wave his arms in the air when he said that? Because there's actually a GIF of him with science on the bottom. I'm wondering if that was taken out of this video we just saw, because that would be hilarious.
But that's what they do, Chocolate. But he'll sigh. He'll say, "Oh, come on, people! Like, that's what they do. Like, it's obvious Earth is a sphere. Come on, the Greeks knew thousands of years ago." I'm tired of that.
But that's the best.
Go on, John.
I was going to say that's the best they can do to protect their paradigm, because if they actually had to try to explain it to you, they'd have to, invoke the flat Earth first.
My take, the way
Change the
Bill
world, by
Nye
the way.
did that video.
What are you wearing? You're wearing
recognized-
stuff that came from another part of the world on a ship. It didn't get here by magic. It got here through science.
Sorry, 10th.
10th Man was talking.
It didn't get here on a boat. It got here through science.
Yeah, the level of his audience is so low that talking that cheap about his globe, cheap evidence for his globe. I mean, so cheap that the dollar store wouldn't even sell it.
But just imagine the disappointment. The guy that sent in the message presumably wants to combat flat earthers in their argumentation. And that's what he gets from Bill Nye. One of the, it's not, I wouldn't even call him a priest, he's a pseudoscience pretender clown.
The trade routes to India and back to Europe were done on ship. Science. So what? So they go on something called sea level, Bill, where we have 0 degree and everything above that is a elevation angle measurement. So what does that prove?
Proves it's flat.
It's just his, how can I put it? It was such a cheap attempt saying stupid stuff like, imagine the paperwork. What the?
Yeah, I totally agree. It was thoroughly useless. But on the other hand,
That's all they.
it didn't require that much debunking in terms of just pulling apart his baseless assertions. So we rattled our way through that little video in less than half the time of the live show, which is good.
I think it's good because that's all they ever really had. That's all they still have. And that short you put out, that was outstanding. If you get another one like TikTok with this, that's gonna be great because people need to hear the answers that these meatballs are proclaiming.
Okay, so you're talking about it's the first exclusive one I've done for TikTok, but I did republish it on YouTube, so feel free to check that out. I can't remember what I titled it now. Something like Neil deGrasse Tyson debunks space. But yeah, I did go to a fair bit of effort with it. I dug out a load of clips of the things we're talking about, which I don't normally do. So I don't normally say, right, orbital mechanics is a begging the question fallacy, and then show a heliocentric orbital mechanic, i.e. Earth moving around the sun with all the other planets and spinning. Whereas in that video I went to the extra effort of trimming in all those videos. And the same with gas pressure, you know, that's what you were talking about earlier, when the guy in black and white is talking about expansion into a vacuum. Again, I trimmed it out and actually put it over the top of me saying it in response to Neil deGrasse Tyson. So it took a lot of work. Hopefully not worth it on TikTok, I've got to be honest. But there we go. For all those people pestering me, I wanted to make a point. I also didn't want anybody to come back at me and go, oh, well, you know, it's only not gone that well because you've only put 2 or 3 videos on. No, I put 50 on. So, you know, I've worked my little socks off. and it's exactly as I assessed it before I did it. Just a lot of work for nothing. But there we go, that's just my opinion. Maybe that'll change. Who knows? Any last words before we round out and ask people to stay tuned?
Shout
Be
out to
enthusiastic.
everybody.
Go on, Chocolate. You can have the last word.
No, I was just saying shout out to everybody.
Yeah, go ahead then. Shout out.
That was the shout out.
Oh, that was the shout out. Oh, wow, what a wonderful way to end the live show. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premier Extremes, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. Another massive thank you to all of you who hit the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Stay tuned if you're on an after show, and I'll see you all in the next video.